Hey, this is Rachel over at Moonlight Library. I'm here today to talk about A24 films that are like different books I've read. I picked out a number of A24 films and tried to match them up with books I've read for the vibes. Some of them are close, some of them are more like plot driven, more like feeling driven, and it's all over the place. But I'm very excited to talk to you about it. So we're going to have 3 parts. Part 1, which is going to be the longest, is going to be me matching up books that I've read with A24 films. I have a stack right here. And then part 2 is... Whoop, my cat's playing with his toy. Part 2 is going to be me asking you to tell me, because I have a couple of films that I couldn't match up that I really enjoyed, but I just could not find a match for them. And I'm like, you give me some suggestions. Also in the first part, if you're like, yeah, I agree with that, but also if you haven't read this book, it's just like that movie. Give me that. I want that. Like, please. And then the third part is going to be just a couple of books that I feel like could be A24 films. Like, they have the A24 vibe to it, if you know what I mean. Like, A24's vibing. So this is, get ready for it, A24! Okay, I don't know why I did that. So we're going to go from most current back to least not as current. I think I go back as far as about 2019, I think. I can do a second part to this if people enjoy it, so let me know. And I will, because I have watched a lot of A24 films. If you don't follow me on here, you should. But if you don't follow me on Letterboxd and you have a Letterboxd, please follow me, because I want more people to follow. I want people following me. I want to know what you're watching. Yes, please. Okay, so the first movie we're going to talk about is Men. And Men is a very recent movie that came out about this woman, a recent widower. Her husband has, it seemingly, taken his own life, and she has decided that she is going to go out into the country to spend some time with herself and to come back to who she is. She gets really weird, like really weird. I can't even tell you too much, but if you've watched that movie or if you've read one of these books, they're like the other. I got 2 for this one. So firstly, it is You Should Have Left by Daniel Kelman. And this is very much so, someone goes on vacation, things go a little haywire and a little bit like out of this world, strange, in an Airbnb situation. And it is like, it feels like the end of the movie where she's like, that's how this whole book feels. Very short. Both of these are really short. The second one is Comfort Me with Apples. This has kind of the gender feeling to it, but also the stuckness that she has, and like, I don't know, contemplations of the self, and like, it's got the same vibes. It's got the same vibes. If you put these 2 books together, you would make that book. This book, I can't even explain it to you without giving it away. I feel like even me comparing it to this movie, I feel like is giving it away. It doesn't really, but the next one is Everything Everywhere All at Once. This is a like multi-dimensional mother-daughter relationship, weird, strange movie. And it explores relationships in a family, but also relationships through time, and you're just watching and you're like, what the fuck? So my book that I'm going to compare this to is a graphic novel, because I feel like it almost has to be a graphic novel. Tell me if you have something that's not. SuperMutant Magic Academy by Jillian Tamaki. And this one also, it's like glimpses into people's lives, almost like this other one, but you're at this SuperMutant Magic Academy where weird things are happening and it gets very heady, just like the other one. But it's also funny. Like, it's funny, it's heady, it's weird, it's like, it just works. Next up is the movie X. This is a more recent horror A24 film, which I wouldn't say was like one of my favorite A24s, but I'm gonna put it on the list anyways. It's not so much a recommendation. This one is in the 70s. It's a group of people who want to film an X-rated film, and it's like turns into a slasher. I mean, the film doesn't turn into the film they're making doesn't turn into a slasher. The film they're in is a slasher. So, we gotta put a slasher in a slasher. So we have Clown in a Cornfield, which, funny enough, is a young adult book. I know, doesn't really make sense because the other one's X-rated or whatever. But they're both slashers, and they both are weird and strange. Hey, Kaya. We have a visitor. Weird and strange. So that works for me. So next is The Tragedy of Macbeth. This one is the one that I'm like, it's primarily vibes coming from here, because I feel like Tragedy of Macbeth with Denzel Washington, the whole thing is Macbeth, but it is like, the whole thing is a vibe. The cinematography is a vibe. Everything's a vibe about it. Based on the play-like quality, we're choosing Lincoln and the Bardo. Tragedy of Macbeth is black and white, and Lincoln and the Bardo feels black and white. Like, it feels like the book you're reading is black and white. The whole thing is in script, kind of. So, that's close to me. And it's old-timey. I mean, Macbeth is a little more old-timey, but, The second one I'm going to choose is Blindess. Because I feel like the sets in Tragedy of Macbeth, which are very open, clean, like bleak, modern, strange, they feel like they should be sets in Blindess. Like, that is all I can say. It feels like it should be a set in Blindess, which is a book where a pandemic happens where everyone is losing their sight, and you're following, and they're taking everyone who's losing their sight and putting them into these encampments, and at a point everyone's lost their sight basically, so shit goes fucking haywire. It's scary, but it feels like it should be Tragedy of Macbeth. Next one is Lamb, and Lamb is about this couple that it's in Iceland, and they own a sheep farm, and one of their sheep has a half sheep, half child baby, and they raise it as their own baby, but it feels very normal, everything that's happening. So we're going to compare that to Leave the World Behind, because this is the world ending, but it also feels pretty normal, and is it ending? What's going on here? But at the same time, I feel like it has only good Indian vibes, because the monster and the monster? Okay, you are all up in this video. I feel like Kai's never in my videos, so I don't know what's going on right now. Next up is The Green Knight. I couldn't really find a good Green Knight idea. It's about Sir Gawain. It's like Arthurian legend, and he's a knight in those times, and there's this Green Knight that challenges him, and it's like, the movie's fucking crazy, and it's very Arthurian and very medieval. So the only thing I could choose for this is Circe, because it's also a take on mythology. I don't know. Maybe this one's too loose. But we're following one main character in both, and it's just interesting to see how someone adapts a legend or mythology into and it stays within the realm of not being modern. So next up is Saint Maud, which once again is not a recommendation. Most of these other films are recommendations. Saint Maud is not a recommendation, but it is a religious horror about this nun that is a little too pious. So what I was going to choose for this one is going to be The Devil All the Time. The Devil All the Time is also about someone who religion ends up harming them, and they go a little too far with their religion. Yes, this one is very southern, like, horror. Like, it's set, I think in, like, the 50s or so, and it's gruesome. And it takes religion pretty far. For The Lighthouse, which is a movie about two lighthouse keepers and their streak into madness because they're alone in this lighthouse, and what else do you have to do but go a little bit cuckoo? And we're going to look at Piranesi, because Piranesi is alone in these weird chambers, and what else are you going to do but go a little bit cuckoo? So I feel like this is actually a really good comparison if you think about it. It makes a lot of sense. The next one is Under the Silver Lake. And I was going to do the plot because I was like, you know, like investigating something really weird. And it's just like, so Under the Silver Lake is like this man or this guy, he's kind of down on his luck, nothing going on in his life. And he meets this girl and at his apartment complex, and then all of a sudden she has left the apartment. Like her apartment is like empty, she's gone, and he's like, where the fuck did she go? And he goes down some crazy rabbit holes, which kind of reminds me of the plot where I feel like he goes down some crazy rabbit holes. In this grad program he was teaching, or writer's workshop grad program, one of his old students submitted a plot that he was like, whoa, that's crazy, that's like no other plot I've ever heard of. And then he never, like, the book never gets made, but he's like, this is a plot that would 100% be turned into a book, but there's no book. Like, this would be like on the Oprah show. You would think I read on BookTube. It'd be all over BookTube. He's like, what if I just write it? Because what happened to this guy? I can't find him, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I felt like it was that. Which, you know what, it is. It really is. But the other one I feel like it is Mr. Penumbra's 24-hour bookstore, whatever it is. This one is also about an investigation that goes a lot crazier than you think. It's about this guy who works in this weird 24-hour bookstore, and he's like uncovering these strange things happening in books, and there's a lot of codexes and weird stuff, and he's like making... I don't even know. You have to read it. It's insane. So lastly, Hereditary. I have two for this one as well because I was like, couldn't decide. Hereditary, what's it about, Rachel? What is it about? Hereditary is about this family and one of the scariest movies ever made. I don't know how to describe it. What happens? This woman is a miniaturist, and I don't know what's a giveaway in this movie. If you haven't seen it, like you just have to watch it. It's so fucking scary. But maybe these books will give you a little insight to what it is. Because I'm like, But it's about the whole family and just the horrible shit that happens to them. And family dynamics along with, like, outside entities, if you know what I mean. So we have My Best Friend's Exorcism. I feel like this one really matches, like, we're following the kids and, like, the weirdness happening, teenagers, that side of it. Fever Dream, on the other side, is kind of the mother's side of it and, like, the experiences going through and just, like, I don't know, super fucking weird. This is a weird book. Part two. The movies that I want you to recommend me books for. Because it's up to you to recommend books to me. Firstly, Uncut Gems. This is a movie where Adam Sandler is fucking intense as shit. He's a jeweler and he gets himself into some fucking trouble and it goes haywire. You're on the edge of your seat. I almost had a panic attack like the whole time. Next one is Midsommar, which I loved. I'm sorry. Like, I thought that was a great movie. Whatever. But this one is horror in the daylight with a cult that's like, what? I don't even know. It's Swedish. There are these people. We're following these people that end up at this Swedish weird cult. And it is crazy. You know, actually that's it. It was 2. I made it seem like it was a lot of movies. Maybe next time we'll have more. I was gonna say another one, but I didn't actually like that movie. Guess which one it was. Part 3. These are the books that have A24 vibes. Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa. Ow! Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa. I feel like this book, it's like this woman who's losing her memories and she's like, the government's controlling everyone and taking memories away. So like all of a sudden you forget what roses are and stuff. And she is like an outlier. And it's weird and it's strange. And I feel like it'd make a great A24 film. We have another George Saunders. Sorry. 10th of December. This one is a short story collection. I feel like any of these short stories would make great A24 films. There's this one called Simplica Girls or whatever. And it's about these like girls that are strung up by like the Simplica Girl Diaries. So they're strung up by their heads for a number of years and they're kept alive and they're like used as decorations and like their families get a lot of money and then they're like stop being Simplica girls at a point and go on their regular lives, but like they're used as decorations and strung through their heads or so weird. A24, right? That's just one of the short stories. I would recommend it. The next one, there is a movie adaptation by Charlie Kaufman, but I really feel like it should have been a A24 film and not Charlie Kaufman. Love him. Adaptation was great, but adaptation is, I'm thinking of many things, but adaptation is about the fact that Charlie Kaufman can't make adaptations. And guess what? He can't make an adaptation. He can't. Proved it. He's like, you think I can make an adaptation? Little secret. I can't. Okay. I have a lot of books to put away. Those are the books. That is it. Those are the things. And I hope you enjoy that. Give me some recommendations. I'm like sitting lower and lower. Okay. Be sure to subscribe. Bye.